Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, welcome everyone to Northern Lights Spiritual Center. My name is Reverend Vaughn Amari, and I'm here today with Reverend Pamela Grace Beatty, the founding minister for Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living. And while we typically would get to see both our practitioner and Pamela Grace, Stephanie is participating virtually. So we look forward to her readings and her meditation, because we know that her readings always zone in on exactly what Reverend Pamela is going to speak about. And it's like we get that double whammy from Stephanie and from Pamela. So welcome everyone. Northern Lights Spiritual Center is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create what? Lives we want to live. And Northern Lights Spiritual Center offers practical and spiritual tools to make what? Positive changes in our lives. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, so we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. And this land acknowledgement is adapted from the Duwamish Tribal Land Acknowledgement. We also acknowledge that much of what we know of our culture today, including the culture, economic growth and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking of their people, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labor and their sacrifice, and we must acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and the resulting impacts and racism that can still be felt and witnessed today. And this labor acknowledgement comes from T.J. Stewart. So I am going to invite you to join along with me in our opening song in this very room, which I have buried somewhere here, and I will find it.
Better than I am.
Okay, so please join me as you feel comfortable. And I'm going to mute folks on the that are in, because the sound can get a little bit confusing. So. In this very room, there's quite an And I'm going to have Stephanie unmute so she
I
can
have.
lead us in the meditation.
Good morning, all. Can everyone get something to write with and something to write on before we start our meditation, please? Okay, we're all ready? So let's just get in a comfortable position wherever we happen to be, in our seats, our chairs, wherever that happens to be. Moving everything from our laps, putting our hands in an open and upright position. Feet firmly planted on the floor or the ground, wherever that you happen to be. And if it serves you, allowing your eyes to close. And so to assist us into going into a deeper meditation, let us take 3 deep cleansing breaths in and out together. So let's breathe in. And let it go. And breathe in again. And let it go. And one more time in. And letting it go. And doing a quick survey of our body, starting at our feet and moving up to our head, seeing if there's any place that's holding on. And if you find such a place, say to it, relax, release, and let go. Just simply relax, release, and let go. And just being in the space of relaxation, in this place of letting go. Let us contemplate this thought. I am one with all that is. I am one with God. I am one with God. So just contemplate what that means. I am one with God. I am one with all that is. What does that mean? Just be with it. What does it mean to be one with God? And so I'd like for you to now journal for a few moments what came up for you around what it means to be one with God. What is that? jot it down. What is you one with all that is? So capture your final thought for this moment. And then come back into the space of being in this relaxed being in this place of just letting go. So put down your pen, finish that thought. And now I'd like to contemplate the thought, I am one as God. I am one as God. Is there any difference from being with God and being as God? Contemplate the thought, I am one as God. I am one as all that there is. I am one as. Just allow yourself to contemplate that thought. I am one as God. And so now, please journal what came up for you in your contemplation of being one as God, being one as all there is. So let's take a deep breath in. And let it go. And as we have contemplated the thought of being with God and as God, of being one with all that is and one as all there is, we know that there is nothing outside of God, that there is this connectedness of all things, for all things are one with God. And so as we come back into this room, back into the space, we come back with the knowingness that there is just simply the one as we allow it to be. And so it is.
And we're going to share our declaration. So please join me. I'll say it one time, and you're welcome to say it with me if you want to right away, but I'll do it a total of 3 times. We are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. And finally, we are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. And so it is.
It is.
And I'm going to return it to Stephanie for the reading.
Yay! Okay, so today's reading comes from the computer. And it is titled, What is Oneness? Imagine that you're the whole universe. You live in total joy and bliss. Imagine there is no past or future, only now. Imagine there is no space or time, just an unbounded eternity. Imagine endless peace, harmony, and unconditional love. Imagine no fear and equality in all things. This is oneness. Unfortunately, we can never imagine it fully. To understand or experience anything, to understand or experience anything, we need to compare it to something else, which immediately brings us into duality. Oneness, by definition, is incomparable. So, is it ever possible to know oneness? Yes, but only by direct experience, when we go beyond the mind, intellect, and ego. Oneness is the coming together of all opposites. It's always with us as the basis and underlying essence of everything. It's nothing in itself, but holds the potential for everything. We have to go beyond the senses, beyond duality, to find oneness. We all have had random, We all have had random, unexpected glimpses of oneness. Perhaps you were watching a beautiful sunset and had the moment when you felt like you merged with the whole of creation. Or you saw your newborn child for the first time and fell in love with the whole world. We even have expression for these glimpses. We say, it took my breath away. Or time stood still. This is oneness. We became one with the totality of the experience. When we return from the moment of oneness, We find it impossible to properly express it. It just was. There was no words to describe oneness. We can also have direct experience of oneness through meditation, which provides a systematic path by which our awareness settles to quieter levels of thinking until we finally transcend thought completely. All duality is in the realm of thoughts. When we slip into the space between our thoughts, we become oneness. Oneness isn't just experiencing something, it's a state of being. Deepak Chopra has told us that every single thing is an aspect of one field of consciousness. Chopra has also said the whole never loses contact with its parts. There are never lost or forgotten. Modern quantum physics talk about a unified field which underlines and connects everything in creation. Who we are is pure consciousness, or oneness, expressing itself in different forms at different times in our evolution. Pure consciousness, which is eternal in timeless, is the oneness. We are separation, or the duality. Chopra said, the origin of life forms is the differentiation of pure consciousness into multiple forms of life expressed conglomerates, which creates the reality world. John Lennon simplified oneness as I am he, as you are he, as you are me, and we are all together. Author Damian Mark Smith says, we're one, we've always been one, we'll always be one until we think we are not. And herein lies our challenge. We are one, but we think we are separate. We have forgotten our oneness. As a result of forgetting, we create an illusionary world of duality, which leads to suffering. All disagreements, conflict, and wars are due to the mistaken belief that we are separate. When we realize we are one, who or what is there to fight against? On a cosmic level, two people fighting is as ridiculous as if your hands decided they didn't like each other and started fighting. Are we then doomed to a life of separation, where oneness always remains an elusive dream? Not necessarily. Here are a few suggestions to take you in the right direction. The first one is community, and I think we've gotten this one. Being part of a harmonious community helps us to foster the principle of oneness. Community supports us on our journey and allows us the opportunity to serve others. Community helps us open up to new and different ideas, to begin to dissolve our barriers and limiting beliefs. Community can connect us with a sense of oneness. The other is meditation. Meditation can give us direct exposure to the oneness deep within. When we transcend thought, we enter to a field of pure awareness, the non-local ground state of existence. By making this journey back and forth from local to non-local awareness, we begin to witness a state of oneness, along with our waking dreams and deep sleep states of awareness. This opens the door to higher states of consciousness and the full reintegration of oneness in our lives. Another is conscious action. Begin to be more conscious of everything in your life. Be conscious of your thoughts, emotions, and how you react to situations and people in your life. Try to be conscious of your choices. Being conscious of how your actions affect your life and of those around you will help you create a sense of belonging, a sense of being part of something something greater than just your own ideas. See your own oneness. When you stand in front of a mirror, pause for a moment and look directly into your eyes. Say silently or aloud, Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am the universe, or I am the totality. You can say it in English if you prefer. This is your soul reflecting back into itself and reminding itself of its oneness. Practice this at least once a day or whenever you catch your reflection in a mirror. Another is see the oneness in everything. The Bhagavad Gita states, if you see the God, the oneness in everyone, you can never do harm to anyone. Wherever you go, whatever you experience through your senses, keeps reminding yourself that it is all part of the same oneness. Begin to recognize the world as a reflection of yourself. Namaste. The Indian blessing Namaste is accompanied by bringing the palms together in front of your heart center. When meeting or taking leave of someone, it means I recognize the divinity in you, which is also the divinity in me. Or in other words, we are the same oneness. It is not comfortable if it's not comfortable for you to say it out loud, think it silently every time you meet someone. Om. Oneness is the potential for all sound, but is itself silent. In every moment of existence, the whole of creation is constantly emerging from the silence of oneness. The first sound or vibration emerging from the silence is Om. This vibration expands into all the sounds and vibration of the universe. When we chant Om, it draws our awareness back into the dawn of creation and into oneness. And then the final one is love. Love is the greatest, most powerful, unifying force in creation. When we are in love, we become one with the object of our love. These inspirational quotes that tell the story of a relationship between love and oneness. The Sufi poet Rumi wrote, the lover asked his beloved, do you love yourself more than you love me? The beloved replied, I have died to myself, but I live for thee. Ram Dass said, oneness is the source of love. Real love is the one celebrating itself as two. In the Vedanta, it says, the ignorant man engrossed in duality desires material things. The intelligent man, seeker on the path, desires enlightenment. But the wise man, knower of oneness, just loves and receives everything. The Yajna tells us it is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. It is all-powerful, all-pervasive. It pervades, permeates, and penetrates all things at all hearts. Live your life from love. Recognize that you are the universe. Be the oneness, and everything will be yours. And so it is. Yes.
Thank you, Stephanie.
I'm here to do peace. I'm here to do joy. I'm here to do love. I'm thinking paradise. I wanna be kind. I wanna be divine. And I need a mind most all the time. But what I'm really here to do is mostly love. listening. Good energy. Raise my consciousness. Raise my thoughts. Raise my eyes to the light. Mostly love. Mostly love. Mostly love. Mostly love. Mostly love. Mostly love.
So that was Marianne and Janet, whom we will be having here, and Reverend Vaughn will tell you more about that. But they'll be up visiting in Seattle and they'll be back, and we'll get to see them in person, which is just great. So thank you, Stephanie, for that. Very appropriate, as usual, reading. And interestingly enough, and I want to share this with you, in the meditation, I read and known and been taught many times how we can think of ourselves as with God, and then the next level is as God. And coming from a Baptist church background, I've been for a long time getting used to the idea that there was no separation between God and us, that it's all one. However, it wasn't until we did that meditation that I realized that thinking in terms of having spirit with me and working with spirit is still separation, and working as spirit is a whole other ball game. I thought, so what if I thought about that instead? So again, thank you, Stephanie, for the information on oneness. So I'll do a light touch on that. The reason it's part of the talk is that this separation that we have. I was talking a couple of days ago to a friend who is a medical doctor, a psychiatrist, a psychoanalyst, and now an artist. Adding that to his bag of skills. And he was saying, well, we were having a political, cultural discussion. He was saying, well, it's normal for mankind to basically other others. Mm. So we came up in a cave with our peeps, our literal relatives and family, and then whoever was out there on the horizon was an other and a threat. And that this is showing up in so many ways right now in our society and our culture in the United States and around the world, seeing me, not me, and making a distinction between who's my buds and who isn't, who I identify with and who I don't. I'm on the board of directors of a group that works to bridge that. They purposely have both Democrats and Republicans on the board as a balance, and our goal is to work together, going to what we're talking about here in the center, to help people create lives they love living, to help each other speak with each other in a way that doesn't alienate but seeks to understand. So all of that is just wonderful. However, going back to that oneness, being able to step into the place of seeing everybody as us and not the other is amazing. When I was a flight attendant with TWA, I got to fly international. And I flew to a number of different countries over in Europe. We call them the gateways. So the big cities, Frankfurt, London, Paris, Rome, Tel Aviv, Athens, etc. Just the gateways. I didn't get that far into the country. But what that did was I felt so much more a part of the world, even though I'd only seen a part of it. It was a whole lot more than I saw on 31st Avenue and Olive in Seattle. And I felt more like I was a citizen of the world not simply a citizen of the United States. And it was a cool feeling, and I haven't done much of it lately, so I have kind of shrunk back to belonging to Washington State here. But that expansion, being with other people and seeing other people and talking to other people and hearing other people's perspectives of the United States and how they live and how they eat and how they dress and how they drive and what their politics and their cultures were like, was so expansive that it's still a part of me. So we are one. And in that oneness, I want to talk about compassion. Reverend Michael mentioned it at the end of his talk last Sunday, and it caught my attention, and I wanted to go a little deeper into it. With compassion, it's more than just saying something like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I have said any number of things about my life growing up, and people have said, oh, I'm so sorry. And frankly, for me, I hate that. I just like, no, that's not why I'm telling you this, so you'll feel sorry for me. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm asking for understanding. And that's a little different versus just saying, oh, I'm sorry. For example, when someone passes and we use the current sorry for your loss, that's the new catchphrase. It was unique when they first started it, but now that's what everybody says. Sorry for your loss, sorry for your loss. And to me, what that does is it allows us to distance ourselves from the loss. I said, I'm sorry for your loss. There, I've done my duty. Now I can go on and think about what I want to think about and not get into what's really going on for you and how you might be feeling about this loss. I don't have to do that because I don't want to. So the question comes up, why do we prefer to do this? What is pushing us to not allow ourselves to be a part of that situation? And any number of things come up. We think if somebody's hurting and we acknowledge it really, then we have to fix it. And we do not. We think we have to fix it and we can't fix it, we don't know how to fix it, so we don't want to go there. And that's not the truth either. We think, well, it scares us. That could happen to me. That could be my loss. Oh my God. And then there's the, oh, I'm so glad it's not me. And then we feel guilty about that. So there's all this stuff going on that gets in the way of what we could call true compassion. So breaking it down a little bit more, we don't have to fix it. We may not be able to fix it. But what we can do is be with that person to the degree that we can in that loss. Many years ago, I had a friend who lost a family member. And he flew to the city where they were, and he was not one of these touchy-feely, tell you how I feel kind of guys. And he admitted that he was an accountant, manager of an accounting department. So he was a numbers guy, data guy, but not a, oh, my heart aches guy. But he said when they went to the funeral, they had the viewing, and they went to the viewing first, and then the funeral. But he said in the viewing, all the brothers related to this family member, stood together. And the good friends of these brothers, male, stood with him. So there was a wall of men in black suits standing together. And that was their way of showing compassion. And I got it. And much later on, a friend's father died, and I saw the same thing.
the brothers were there, and the friends of the brothers were there standing with them. And it was, I could feel the strength in what they were doing. And it impacted the audience, me and the audience as well, seeing that wall of strength. But it was their way of showing compassion. And I mention this because people actually do show compassion in different ways. And one of them is showing up for each other. So compassion is more than just saying, oh, I'm so sorry. It's more about responding from the heart. However you can do that, whatever words you can get and speak to connect with the person. I read something a while back where the writer said, treat everyone as though there was a tragedy behind their eyes. And at the time, as I said, this was some years ago, I thought, oh, everybody doesn't have tragedy behind their eyes. And somehow, I discovered, yes, they do. And it wasn't that I went out to find out everybody's tragedy, but I found that when I started speaking to people and I got below a superficial level, they had a tragedy that was sitting on their heart. It wasn't something that was 50 years ago and they're over it. It was still there, and it was a part of them. It was a mixture of who they were now. And it didn't take much to touch on those tragedies. And there, when that happened, there was a call for compassion. Not, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but something deeper than that, a recognition. And sometimes, for me, I just hold the space for them to talk about that. And it's what we learned as practitioners in this spiritual philosophy, is being a space holder. So, another thing about compassion is no judgment. So if somebody says this happened and that happened, and you're saying, well, why didn't they do this? Or why didn't they do that? Or why didn't they ask about this? Or how come they didn't just show up? Instead of doing that, again, we hold the space for them just to tell their story. If you think about it, how often has someone simply allowed you to tell your story and not tried to fix it, or not tried to tell you where you were wrong or where they were wrong, but just allowed how you saw it to be? Now, I am guilty of, at any point in time, having done any of those things I just mentioned. I'm guilty of it. But I'm also not guilty at times of simply sitting and allowing someone to tell me their story the way they see it and step away from the judgment. When I was a corporate trainer at the Clorox company, I did a exercise with the group, and I forgot the context, but we did this exercise where two people, and one person would tell about a vacation they had, and the other person would listen. And the other person who was listening would spend part of the time saying, oh, what a stupid place to go, I would never do that, I hate that, how could they have thought that that would work? And they would spend part of the time saying, my gosh, that sounds wonderful, that sounds like fun, I'd love to do that. And they were not to show any expression on their faces or any body movement, nor were they to say anything. They were just supposed to sit there, but think negative and then think positive. So I walked around the room watching to make sure nobody was giving it away with their eyes or their body, and pretty much they weren't. And then, at the end of the exercise, the person who told about vacation was to say when the listener was being positive and when they were being negative. Some of them couldn't get it, and some of them nailed it. And even when they nailed it, I had looked and I had not seen expression coming from the person. So what I learned in that process was people can feel you. So even though I'm not saying anything about how stupid I think that vacation idea is, or what they did was, whatever it is, if I'm thinking it, people can feel it. And I have found that some people are more aware than others. And you don't know who's more aware than others. I had someone once use the exact words that went through my head that were a criticism of them. And I was like, I never said that. I surely thought it, but I know it didn't come past my lips. And this person told other people I knew what I said about him, and I was like, I never said it, but I did think it. So I had to admit, I don't really remember saying it, but it is what I think. I don't think very highly of this person. But it made me really think about what I think and when I think it. There are also folks who are empaths. I don't know how many in the, I'm seeing some head shakes here. So I had my minister in California, when I was on the board of the church, and I was the president of the board, she would fuss. She was like, I don't like going to those meetings. They're all against me. They're blah, 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 blah. And she would just, I'm like, Reverend, no, they're not. They're not all against you. Well, there were a couple who were, but not all. So I didn't know why she was being so silly about not wanting to be in the meeting. She had to be in the meetings. Later on, my empath sensitivity grew, and I understood what it was like to walk into a room where you know that some people are not rooting for you. Now, as a black woman in this society, I have learned to walk into rooms knowing people aren't rooting for me and just deal with it. You know, I'm here, bite me. But somehow in the process of being in this spiritual philosophy, I think my defenses weakened, and I could feel it more. And I got to understand why the Reverend didn't like walking into those rooms. I also got to understand that as an empath, too much energy is overwhelming. I've always thought it was because I was an introvert, and I am an introvert, but also as an empath, all of this energy is something, and so we have to learn how to manage that. And managing all of that energy can also get in the way of our compassion, because I've always thought of it as I have enough to handle on my own feelings. Having to feel somebody else's feelings is just overload. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about, because I know at least a couple of you seriously, personally are empaths. I'm going to go ahead and call my sister out. She's been an empath all her life, and has to guard herself. So that can get in the way of our being compassionate, because it can take us so far into the suffering of others that it's hard to draw a line around how we are to be with them. And this compassion can make a difference in folks' lives. If we do go with it, we might be the one who steps up and takes care of somebody nobody else wants to take care of. Or if it's too much, we might be the one to say, I'm not doing that. So part of compassion and compassionate living is to have compassion for yourself. Someone else I was talking to said, you know, you don't have to take on all the crap. If you're trying to make a relationship work with this person and it's not working, you can let it go. You don't have to both go to some kind of mediator or what have you, therapist, and work it out. You're not married to them. You don't have to stay married to them if you are married to them and it's not working. Yes, I said it. You can let it go. And that was a big relief because I'm one of those, well, we have to work it out kind of people. Well, no, not really. And here's one other thing that I personally have learned, and that is you can just start anew. You can just turn a page and start anew. And in some cases, that can be very effective. In some cases, you may still get what you always got, in which case then it means close the book and give it to the library. So, the last piece, and that is with and as spirit. Sometimes when I'm trying to be compassionate, but I open myself up because some part of me is resisting, I remind myself that not only I don't have to fix this, that there is a power in me, through me, and all around me, and in and through other folks. And I can say, okay, not my circus, not my clown. I don't have to fix this. But I'm knowing for this situation that Spirit is in the mix, Spirit is fixing it, Spirit is working with it. And this sounds a little interesting, but I will say to myself, the same God that watches over me and works through me, watches over and works through them. And whatever piece of it that I can help with, I'm happy, but I don't have to take it all on. Got a posse, got an even bigger posse that can move in there and make that work. One last thing about compassion is, I call it tit for tat. You know that old phrase. So if somebody doesn't show compassion to somebody, the person who needed that compassion is going to be disinclined to show compassion either to the one who didn't show them compassion or the world in general. So we see so many people who do terrible things in the world, and they are people who have not been loved, who have not been nurtured, nobody's had compassion for them along the way, and it starts at a very young age. I once met a little girl who was very angry. She was maybe 10, probably 9 or 10, and she was just so angry. And I was babysitting her, and I was trying to take care of her and trying to play with her, and she was like, "You are not the mama. Get away from me." And I thought, wow, so young, she's already that angry and that defended, and obviously not getting the love and the caring that she should have gotten in her young life, and wasn't open to receiving it from anywhere else. And I don't know what happened to her, but I do know that at that young an age, already disappointed in life, she had a hard path to follow. So, one last thing. I mentioned that being compassionate doesn't mean, oh, poor baby. Okay, I have to tell you that I have run into people who really actually just want, oh, poor baby. And I'm so not a oh, poor baby person. It's not my thing. So there are folks who just want you to say, oh, poor baby, oh, poor baby, oh, poor baby. I have tended to say, well, make sure you drink a lot of water if you have the flu. Can I bring you some fruit? I haven't said, oh, poor you. As I said, I already have a thing with that. But there are people who want, oh, poor baby. Try to figure those ones out and give them the, oh, poor baby. Just let them have it. Oh, poor baby, sorry for you. And hopefully that helps. I don't know, because I don't do it. And it isn't always good. So the whole thing about compassion is one, recognizing that we are, in fact, one tribe, not 3 billion. That the spirit that's in me is in you, and as Stephanie mentioned on Namaste, make an effort to see the God in me beholds the God in you. I recognize that you're as worthy a human being to be on here as I, and that you're looking for the same things I am looking for in life. And I think that helps a lot, particularly as we face people who are on the other side of our line. It helps to look at them and ask ourselves, what have they been through that has brought them to this place? And how do I need to be with them? And when I say, how do I need to be with them, that's just, how do I hold the space while they say and ask and do what they do? And finally, have that same for ourselves. Compassion for ourselves, especially the type A's, and I know I've got them out there, the people who feel like we have to always be doing something and making a difference and taking care of the world and all of that. Have some compassion. Allow ourselves to be okay with the imperfections and to be okay with the misses and to be okay with allowing somebody else to fix it in some situations. Now and then a situation has our name on it, but mostly they don't. And we can just be. So with that in mind, your homework is to catch yourself when you're pushing yourself, when you could just allow yourself to be. Have some compassion for yourself in the places where you need compassion. Or you welcome compassion, or compassion would make a difference for you. And for those who might have situations going on in your lives, as the man said, there's a tragedy behind everybody's life, so I'm sure there's something somewhere that's calling to you. Know that you have access to a power that can resolve it for you. Just know that to be true, and listen for what is yours to do. And so it is. And thank you for being here. We'll bring Reverend Vaughn. Oh, my favorite thing, Practitioner Stephanie, is to have Stephanie do a closing prayer for the talk. You willing to do that? You do that? Okay, thank you. And then Reverend Vaughn will come back.
Actually, didn't you want the closing song?
Yeah. Let's take a
Didn't
deep
you
breath
want the
in.
closing
I
song?
forgot I had one. You can play it after Stephanie.
Okay. So just a second, Stephanie.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. It's my turn. Okay, so let's just take a deep breath in. And let it go. And just know that there is one life, one power, one presence. It is God, and we are one with it. We are one as it. And it's in this knowingness, it's in this oneness that we know that God is all there is, and we are God. And in that, we allow love to resonate from us. We allow love for others, love for ourselves. And in that love lies compassion. Just being with the compassion, being with the, just letting go and being with. Not having to do and not having to fix, but simply being with that person, being with that loving energy, lifting each other up. And so as we go through our days, go through this life, we go with the knowingness that we can love ourselves, that we can love others, that we can be compassionate with ourselves, that we can be compassionate with the other, because there is just simply the one life. There is nothing outside of God. And so let us navigate this life with the knowingness that all fades into God, that it's all God, so it's all good. It's all love. It's all light. And so for this I give thanks. I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks as I allow my word to just be. And so I release this to the perfect action of the law, letting it go, letting it be, and I seal this by saying, Ashe,
Ashe.
Amen.
Amen.
And so it is.
Every snowflake has a different shape. Every raindrop has a path to take. Every diamond has a different shine. Every atom in itself divine. Be authentic, be alive, be connected to the love inside. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Be yourself, be yourself. Too much conformity can make you choke. Every painter has a different stroke. You got a calling, it's time to seek what creation made us all unique. Be authentic, be alive, be committed to your heart inside. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Be yourself, be yourself. Inner guidance gonna make you sing and be connected with everything. Love and joy you cannot miss. Be yourself and all your bliss. Be authentic, be alive. Listen to the words of the wise. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Be yourself, yourself. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Be yourself, be yourself.
So I am back here for announcements, and we've got a bunch of announcements for today. First, if you want to make a donation to Northern Light Spiritual Center, we have the collection basket here. You can pop in money if you're physically here. If you're not physically here, we have a website, and you can go to the website and you can click the donate button and go to it that way. we are having a variety of activities. So today you got to hear recordings of Narayan and Janet. In 2 weeks, when Stephanie is speaking, Narayan and Janet are going to be zooming in to spend time with us via Zoom. So instead of just seeing a picture of their faces, you're actually going to see them performing, which I think is, really fun because Narayan plays all of these different instruments and Janet plays the piano, and so you don't really know that when you're seeing the YouTube. You're just seeing their faces together. And while their faces together are lovely, seeing them perform is even better. So they will be here with us by Zoom in 2 weeks, and then they are coming for a concert in August. And this is a Friday night concert, and of course I don't have the date in front of me, Stephanie. 18th. So Friday the 18th, Narayan and Janet will be physically here for Friday evening. So we really are eager to have people come to this physical space and be with us. We're going to take the tables down, and we're going to use the 2 rooms. So there will be food and fun in the other room, and there'll be more chairs, and Narayan and Janet will be performing up front. So we look forward to their performance. We are also hosting a class, and this class is based on the book, and it's called Prosperous Living Today, Now, and Forever. And so this is an opportunity for a period of 8 weeks. 8 weeks for $45. There's nothing you can do for 8 weeks for $45. There is nothing in the world, nothing that you can do for $45. And this is about building an abundance of health, an abundance of wealth, an abundance of well-being, an abundance of ideas, an abundance of creativity. So whatever it is that you are setting your mind to, we are going to be going through a process together as a group, and Stephanie is going to be teaching it, and I'm going to be teaching it, and Reverend Michael is going to be teaching it, and Phyllis is going to be teaching it. So you won't get bored because there's not going to be one person that you're listening to thinking, oh my God, I can't listen to this. It's going to be a lot of variety, a lot of change, and a lot of opportunity for discussion and deep exploration. The book is designed so that you will read it, and then we're going to do 30 days of practice. And within that 30 days of practice, what we're going to be opening to is the intuitive hits from Spirit. So you could be looking forward to joining that class. Again, 8 weeks, $45. You can't go to a movie. You can go to 2 movies. 2 movies. And one of them has to be a matinee. One of them can't even be happening at a time when you normally want to go somewhere. It would have to happen in the middle of the day. So this is a great opportunity. Please, you can sign up. You can sign up online. We've got a form that you fill out and just say, what am I interested in? What's my name? Do I want to be known by other folks? So please join us for the class. Now, we also, you think that's great? We in August, so July is starting the class. August, we are having a picnic. And Phyllis has explored the land, and Stephanie has explored the land, and we are going to be going to Seahurst Park, which is a beautiful, beautiful location. View of the ocean, shady spots, sunny spots, all depends. So we are going to be there August 12th from 11 to 3. Hot dogs, buns, water, and condiments will all be provided by the center. You just come forward with potluck items. So you want to bring cake? Great, we love cake. You want to bring fruit salad? We love fruit salad. You want to bring chips or dips? Or you just want to bring more beverages that are more interesting than water? We're looking forward to that. So please RSVP by August 9th. So that is the class. That is that. And wait! But wait, there is more. I feel like I'm a Ronco commercial today. We have a cruise on beautiful Lake Union, and it's almost like being on the Nile. That's the thread for this. almost like being on the Nile, cruising on Lake Union. And if you're interested, please join us by July 21st. We have the opportunity for either 10 people on a boat or 12 people on a boat, or if there's more than that, we can have a 10-person boat and a 12-person boat. We can have as many boats as we want. So if you are interested in, this is a 2-hour trip around Lake Union. One person will get to be the driver and the rest will be passengers. So you bring your own food and possibly have a picnic on the water. It's up to you. And again, that is going to be we need to hear by July 21st, and we're going to let you know the actual date in September, because that's when we're going to be cruising the Nile of Lake Union here. So I think I've gotten all the announcements. Reverend Pamela, do you have any announcement you want shared? Stephanie, Phyllis, either of you have announcements? So that is it for announcements. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the camera, and then we are going to turn it over so that people can share about their ahas. Oh, when Pamela said this, that made me think this, because actually what Pamela was really broadcasting to me was this. And I recognized that, and I received that special broadcast that she sent me. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna stop the camera for recording things. I'm gonna turn this around, and then I will untangle this so that we can start to hear from folks. And you can start to unmute yourself. So thank you very much.
For you for the briefs. I just pay once a month, it's easier to keep track of.